This guy is one of the smartest brains when breaking down film. I've watched some of your videos. Welcome, high octane analysis. Do you want to tell the people what you do?
Sure, man. Thanks for that introduction, by the way. Um,
Well,
yeah, my channel name is High Octane Analysis. I go through a lot of film. I watch pretty much every high caliber offensive lineman in the NFL. Really break down what makes them great, what makes them the players that they are. Um, yeah, it's what I do. If you want to see great offensive linemen, what makes them great, and really have a good grasp on who is good in the NFL on the offensive line and who's going to perform on a weekly basis, you can come to my channel and you can see them people and see what they do.
cool. So, for those of my fans who don't know who are the UK side, the offensive line are the big ugly guys who do all the hard, heavy lifting. And this guy is an expert at breaking them down. And to start off with an offensive lineman, the Colts are missing Anthony Costanzo for the next game. How big of a loss is that to the Colts O line?
Um, yeah, anytime we lose a veteran player, especially at the left tackle position, that's really going to be detrimental to our game plan. We're going to have to really scheme around that. I'm sure the Browns know this, and they're going to be lining Miles Garrett, current leader for the defensive player of the year, over there against LaRaven Clark a lot. Um, you know, as bad as that may seem, I'm not super worried about that, mostly because we have left guard Quentin Nelson, two-time All-Pro, really to help him there. They play a four-front, 4-3, so that really caters to us. We can slide protect left, move Nelson over to help him. Kelly takes over that three tech, one tech that's going to be over Nelson. And then we can leave Glowinski and Braden Smith, two very talented young offensive linemen, against their matchups. So yeah. Raven Clark, to me, I've watched some of his film this year. They put him in against the Jets. He looked pretty good. So I'm not super worried about that, but it's still Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett, hands down, looks like the best defensive lineman in the league this year. So we'll have to see. The game will tell. But
um, you you talked about one player in particular there who I think everyone has fell in love with, not just Colt fans, the whole NFL, and that's Quentin Nelson.
mm,
The impact this guy has had, you know, okay, there was guards and oil linemen going high in the first round previous to him, but he seems to have started a trend of people now want to protect quarterbacks more than um, the days of like Ryan Grigson, for example,
mhm.
and the flashy players. People are, he's given a name to offensive linemen who necessarily didn't get that recognition before. When you saw Quentin Nelson get picked, was it? I think it was six overall because we dropped back. Was you shocked?
um, not in particular. We had Andrew Luck, and Luck was getting sacked 40, 50 times a year. And I watched his film at Notre Dame. Him and his left tackle were absolutely the two best run blocking um, players in the draft. So Notre Dame had a nasty left side of their offensive line. But Nelson in particular was just so good. I mean, it was unbelievable. Um, he was just strong, agile, and he's not in particularly slow for a 6'5", 330-pound man.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't run his 40-yard dash, but it was said he would run anywhere between 5 flat to 5'1", and that's on the faster side for guards and tackles in the NFL.
Mhm. Um,
So,
yeah. Sorry, go on. Go on.
oh yeah, so whenever that pick happened, I wasn't really too surprised about it. There was other areas at the time the Colts could have improved, like corner and other areas, but Ballard picked up, Sin, Kenny Moore, Xavier Rhodes, so I guess that panned out pretty well for us.
Yeah. Um, talking about Xavier Rhodes and players who Ballard's picked up, Julian Blackman. This guy has been forced into a position we really didn't want him in, being made the sole position in that player because of injuries. But this guy is a stud, and this guy
Oh,
comes to play. And the last time I said this to Colts Law, the last time we had a small, strong safety Hall of Famer, and can Blackman replicate that? Can he do what Sanders did?
um, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, he has all the intangibles from what I've seen to be a great safety in the NFL. Um, he just reminds me of a lot of what Malik Hooker looked like coming out of college. Malik Hooker's freshman year was like our saving grace in the secondary. You know,
Mhm,
a secondary that was really poor and didn't have a lot of backbone to it. You know, we gave up a lot of yards there. Malik Hooker just came in and he looked like the guy that was just reuniting everyone and putting us together. And unfortunately, you know, injury bugs caught him and he hasn't been healthy since his rookie year. So hopefully Blackman, you know, his senior year, he was one of the highest graded safeties coming out of the draft. He gets injured, drops to the third round. We pick him up, and right now he's looking like a steal, man. No other way to put it. He's looking like the steal of the draft.
yeah, cool. Um, so I've watched some of your videos. I'm not going to lie, I've not watched them all, but I've watched some of them just while preparing for this video. And you are an offensive line expert. Now, last week and a bit recently, the Colts O line, as great as it is getting a bit of slack and a bit of criticism from higher ups and these pundits who know everything always and they're experts in every position, even though they haven't played. But what was the woes? Is it just everyone expects the Colts to run, so everyone's prepared for it? What's
Uh,
what's not clicking?
yeah, last game against the Bears, we played against uh, one of the best defenses in the league personnel wise, if not the best. Maybe the Bills have a better personnel than they do. Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, both of them, if I'm not mistaken, are all pro. I know Khalil Mack is. Akeem Hicks maybe just be a Pro Bowler, but he's a multi-time Pro Bowler at the
Mhm,
3-4 defensive end. They also have Robert Quinn, who is a Pro Bowler at the defensive end. They got Trevathan, um, Roquan Smith, who is a both very talented linebackers. They have two Pro Bowlers in their secondary. Their defense is just filled. You know, they're set. Any team the Bears play, they're going to have to know they're not going to score much. Their offense is going to be disrupted. And you saw the result Thursday night against the Bucks.
yeah,
Not many people saw that coming. I don't remember what the spread was, but I think it was 3 points. But no one's saying 19, 20 point game. You know, that wasn't the hypothesis for that.
yeah.
Um, so it's hard to say. Uh,
It was just a hard defense.
Yeah, I mean I mean they're rugged up front, man. Khalil
Yeah,
Mack is putting his name up there for All Pro again, 100%.
yeah. Okay. What I wanted to ask you, and is there a reason you like watching the offensive line so much? What draws you to that position?
Um, yeah, in high school and college, I played left guard and center.
Yeah.
So you know, I grew up playing football, and then I went to college and played football. So I'm always going to be, you know, a little bit biased towards my position for watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it really comes down to that. I can watch, you know, film of all these other skill positions, especially in the defense. I can read a defense as soon as the play starts. I know really what they're running, cover two, cover three, cover six. You know, I can
Yeah.
see all that, but I would rather just watch these offensive linemen because in the NFL, a lot of offensive linemen, you know, they're slept on. They're
Mhm.
no one no one ranks these people. No one really gives them their credit unless they're on this super high powered offense. They're doing this, this, and this. You know, ranked 10 and below, there's no really people that are going to be advocating for these offensive linemen, being like, hey, these guys are quality. And that's
Mhm.
something I want to bring to the community. I want people to see these players
Yeah.
and they're really full effect.
Good. Yeah, I can represent that. I was well played soccer, as you guys call it, football over here. I was a goalkeeper, and it's hard being in that position. It's a thankless job, and you're always to blame.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so you said you played all through high school, through college. Um, just try and explain to maybe the UK viewers because it's a different system and it works differently over here. The expectation of a college team, and because it's how we look at it, it's more like semi-pro being in college, how I see it.
Mm.
And you've got loads of fans and you've got 50-year-old blokes having go at these 16, 17-year-olds. And
Uh,
can you explain what it's like? Maybe go through a bit of a weekly routine of playing for a college team.
um, yeah, there's a lot of preparation, and there's a lot of compared from the high school level to the college level. There's a lot more pressure just put on these 19, 20, 21-year old people, kids really, kids
Yeah.
just to perform at their position to get to that next level. Um, I will say this: when I played in high school, I played for my state, Kentucky, the third most winning high school team in the state. So we had a brand of winning already growing up.
Mhm.
I grew up in this system of great third and fourth grade coaches, the fifth and sixth, the seventh and eighth, on to high school. Like every coach I went with were just winning, winning, winning. 80% win percentage coaches on their careers. So I was really already tailored to that. But a lot of kids that come into these college programs don't necessarily come from great teams. So they have to come there and really be enshrined into these organizations and be brought in and told really how to have this winning attitude.
Mhm.
So it's really difficult. The process is difficult for anybody that comes.
Yeah. Uh, when you was in college, did you ever expect I'm going to the NFL, or do you have to turn up with that attitude, or why is it, or was you like, okay, this is all fun and I'm going to enjoy it, but maybe let's start looking at other careers? When did
Uh,
that realization hit you?
yeah, I never really had huge aspirations for the NFL as it was. I played offensive line. I'm only about 5'11", 6 foot. I'm not Aaron Donald, freak of nature, strength or anything. So, uh, yeah, I was really already accustomed to that mentality. I just wanted to play because I love the game so much. Um, I couldn't. I never really had that dream. There's a few people I played with that did go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Kermit Gibbs, few couple names there, but they were 6'5", 6'6", super athletic for their size. Yeah, they're just way leaps and bounds beyond me, man.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because we all watch the. Well, I've seen all the cheesy American films, like Remember the Titans, Any Given Sunday, and yeah, there's many more. Rudy, and I think just trying to get perspective on it because we have nothing like that over here. We have academies for soccer players and stuff like that, but really, from a young age whether from like the age of 6 or 7. And I think what I wanted to ask, or I wanted to get on the point of, in these films, you see it every Sunday. It's, they'll say in church football every Sunday, and everybody in the community comes to the stadium to watch, and then it's sort of a big tailgating party. Did you feel that sense of community growing up that football helped, or was it hindering when you lost, or did
Oh
you get
man,
much?
uh, sorry to interrupt you there, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like growing up in Hazard, Kentucky, where I did it, football was everything, and we had our rival Perry Central, in the same county as us, so it was like there was something called the Black Gold Bowl where we would play Perry Central, and literally half the county was there just to watch that game. Um, it was awesome. There'd be people at tailgates, people catfish fries, everything. It's great.
Is that where you could find the whole offensive line eating in the tailgate?
Oh man, I'd be scarfing down some ribs.
Anyway, getting back to the professional game, the NFL, and looking at tomorrow's game, do you like our chances against the Browns? Because the Browns have turned up this season, I must say. And I've, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Baker Mayfield. I don't know what it is. I just like his attitude and I like how he enjoys the game. Do you fancy us to beat Cleveland?
Oh yeah. Um, like you, man, I really enjoy Baker Mayfield. I really don't know what it is. Maybe it was the shenanigans at Oklahoma, how much he really wanted to win.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, I think Baker Mayfield is one of the elite competitors in the NFL that just hasn't put it together yet. I think that's
yeah,
really what it is. But this offense, I mean, they have is just built around him. Like they got Jarvis Landry, OBJ, Austin Hooper, and then um, their offensive line, man, is the Colts, who were, in my opinion, the most complete offensive line coming into the league. I think the Browns have taken over that spot hands down.
yeah,
With the just out of nowhere great play from Wyatt Teller at right guard. Um, but that being said, the Browns defense is um, nicely saying they're very bad. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, that's
You can
putting
be
it.
honest.
I mean, that's putting it nicely, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are saying this is going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. I feel more confident about this game than I did against the Bears.
Hmm.
Um, I think we win this game by probably 7 to 10 points, realistically.
Okay.
Um, a few notes I have written down.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, the Browns, they're going to be without Larry Ogunjobi, Tay Davis. Larry Ogunjobi is their best interior defender at their defensive line spot. Tay Davis is a quality backup linebacker. They're starting number one corner Greedy Williams. He's out. Adrian Claiborne, their second string defensive end, he's questionable, and so is Carl Joseph. But from what I'm seeing on Twitter, no one thinks they're going to play as it is.
Mhm.
So they're going to be without their starting safety, strong safety. They're going to be without their starting right corner. They're going to be without their starting interior defensive line. Um, and I'll be honest, our offense right now is ranked 20th. We just played the Bears, but we're not turning the ball over. We didn't turn the ball over once in the last two games. Our running backs aren't fumbling. That was a big thing. Jonathan Taylor was really knocked for coming out of college was just
Mhm.
the fact that he would let the ball go. And this year, close to 100 carries and he hasn't fumbled once. So pretty excited about that. Um, I just don't see for the Browns to win this game. In my opinion, they're going to have to score close to 30 points. I think 28 or more. And
Okay.
frankly, I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. Um, yeah, I just don't see them being able to keep up with their offense against our high powered defense.
Cool. Talking about offense, Philip Rivers, obviously the talking point of the summer, along with Cam and many other quarterbacks. But for Colts fans, it's Philip Rivers. And he's still split on opinion. And I still see a lot of hate for Philip Rivers. Now, what did make me laugh against the Bears was the smack talk. I'm all about that, get in the face, make him laugh. He knew he could probably sit on the side, and as we'd say, he'd sit on the side and have a cup of tea because he knew his defense would get a pick six if they wanted to. Do you like the smack talking Philip Rivers, or are you more about the Andrew Luck humble? I'm just going to get on with my own game.
I mean, hey, every player is unique in their own way. So,
Mhm.
it's a little fun seeing Philip Rivers talking to Roquan Smith, telling him JT got the corner on him. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah,
I liked how Andrew Luck, what he brought to the game too, that humble play.
yeah,
But, you know, you can't be, in some aspects, he was able to be humble so much because he was just beating teams by himself.
yeah,
It was, flat out Andrew Luck. Right now, Philip Rivers isn't doing that, but hey, if he can get into the heads of Roquan Smith a little bit, that's always going to be a little bit beneficial to us.
yeah, yeah. I remember before the Chicago game, and I think this was even pre-season. I was on another show, Shank Club NFL. Good show, check them out. And they asked me, "What do you see the Colts doing?" And I said, Ost- optimistically, 12-4, an AFC Championship game. I really think we can do that. They said, "Who are you worried about?" I said, "The one team that scares me the most is the Bears." And to be honest with you, I didn't know why, and I didn't know how. I just knew they had Chuck Pagano, and I knew what he can do with a good team around him. I knew what Chuck Pagano could do. Going into that Bears game, you said it a little bit earlier. You was worried, but why? What caught your eye about this Bears team that makes you go, the 3-0, I saw all that and saw the Bucks game, but what caught your eye saying, I don't really fancy this?
Um, yeah, like you said, it Chuck Pagano, man. Chucky's a great defensive coach. Um, he did a lot with the Colts defense when he was coaching for us that people won't give him credit for. Uh, to be frank, our defense was pretty terrible. I mean, we were personnel wise, we were just horrendous, and what he could do with that defense really, it sometimes astounded me. He'd always have discipline. Everyone be getting to the ball, like we see now. Like we see a lot of people flocking to the ball, but it was like that when Chuck Pagano was coaching. He always said fly to the ball, 11 hats on the ball. That was his real motto. And now he's on a Bears defense that has like one of the best personnels in the league. I was just like, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Um, Talking about our defense, who have really been the shining star in the Colts organization so far. Um, Unfortunately, we had injuries to Campbell and Mack, which sort of stalled our offense and our plan, so we've had to readjust that. But this defense, even with Darius Leonard out, I still think this defense is capable of getting a couple of picks tomorrow. How good, or especially who on the defensive side of the ball, do you look at and you go, "Yeah, I'm glad we've got this guy on the team and we're not actually playing against him."
Yeah. Honestly, I think any player on our defense can be a quality player on any team in the league, especially our starters. I'm really happy we don't have to play against a DeForest Buckner and a Justin Houston.
Yeah,
Nico Autry doesn't get a lot of credit, but last year I think he had 9 sacks. Like he was still doing a lot for us.
yeah,
Grover Stewart, who is right now my pick for like most improved interior defensive lineman in the league. He
yeah,
was, I think, 340 pounds last year, 330, 335, somewhere around there. Cut 20 pounds. He's down to 315, 310, and he just looks like a beast right now. They're talking about how well DeForest Buckner's playing, but Grover Stewart is having himself a year right now. I haven't seen him get beat on a backside one tech. We shift to we're shifting our D line to their power side, so whatever side the tight ends lined up on, and he's lined up in this one tech, supposed to be taking on this double team if they go weak side, and I mean he's doing it flawlessly. So yeah, that's a lot of people I'm happy we don't have to play against. Um, Bobby Okariki's having himself a breakout year right now. He's looking talented, man. I love Bobby Okariki. Um, yeah, and our secondary plays now healthy. Picked up Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes is like rekindling his career. It's like every person that comes to us from the NFC, like Eric Ebron, just rekindles his career now. Xavier Rhodes. Uh, yeah, we just have so much talent everywhere in our defense. It's what really comes down to. When I looked at this squad before the season, I was like, we're going to be a great defense, but I did not, I honestly didn't think we'd have this much production, like all
yeah.
around the board.
Cool. You talked about Eric Ebron there, and the Colts just have a knack of finding great tight ends. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it do, but we have great tight ends. It's just a known fact. From the days of Dallas Clark all the way up to Eric Ebron. And we've done it again. And this player is, well, I think Jack Doyle's great at run blocking and the short, quick passes. Trey Burton, I want to see more of him before I make my judgment. But Mo Ali Cox. Now, granted, I did not know much of this guy last year apart from the spectacular one-handed catch against the Raiders, I think it was. How much have you seen of Mo Ali Cox, and why is he just now? Because I think he's 27. Why is it just now people are starting to pick up on this guy?
Um, I think what really has stunted him really getting into the lineup was just Jack Doyle.
Mhm.
We're a power run team, of course. So Jack Doyle is going to play because he's probably a top three run blocking tight end in the league.
Yeah,
There's a few other like George or like Kittle and maybe a Mark Andrews that are better than him. But other than that, I mean, when you're talking in perspective of run blocking at the tight end position, Jack Doyle's up there at the best of the best. So he can do that, and he's pretty good at getting out in the flats or a little short five and out, catching it, getting upfield for 5 yards. He can do that. He in no way is a receiving tight end, which this team hasn't had since, like you mentioned, Dallas Clark
Mhm.
and Eric Ebron. Um, so it's really nice seeing us having a tight end that's getting out there and getting 40-yard gains, making these giant catches over two people. Like it's a good sight to see, and I like him going on in the future with Philip Rivers throwing to him. That gives him a big 6'7" target. Uh, Former basketball player in college that can go up there and get the ball when we really need one against one-on-one coverage against these safeties and linebackers.
and sticking with the theme of offense again, Philip Rivers did have a favourite target who I think was Michael Pittman, who we really need to have a speedy recovery because what a player he is. But with him and Mo Ali Cox, apart from that interception a couple of weeks back, I think it was, where Mo Ali Cox should have caught it, it was an interception. Apart from that, and that made you think, oh, maybe he isn't going to throw to Mo Ali Cox again. What, especially from because you played the game, what gives a quarterback confidence to go back to that guy who's just dropped it?
I think it's a it's a it goes hand in hand here. Mo Ali Cox is really somebody that's a veteran at this point and has been in this system for a while. And he's someone that's just uber athletic and he has confidence. Mo Ali Cox has confidence in his game. You see him catch a ball, he turns and runs. He don't turn and look around for a second like a lot of people in the league that really never progress. He when he catches the ball, he's not afraid of contact. And so whenever Rivers sees him play like that, he's like, all right, if I throw the ball to him, he's not going to be afraid to get hit. He's got that 6'7", 260 frame. He's not worried about a defender hitting him and drawing the ball loose. So I think Philip Rivers sees that and he really feeds off of it and wants to feed him the ball more whenever he sees him playing like that.
A guy who I think has not got a lot of recognition so far on the offense, but I think he's having a stellar start to the year is number 14, Zach Pascal. Um, Ty struggled a bit in the first couple of games. He's now starting to get into his rhythm. We're starting to see more of Ty. But with Ty being the ghost who everyone, he demands double coverage, even when it's a run and play. They're like, let's stick two guys on Ty just in case. Has that then opened the position up for other guys to go underneath, unnoticed to say? And what would you say, you know, is Ty coming to the end of the career or is he just demanding double coverage more and more? So it's harder to find.
Yeah. I think Ty is still a high caliber receiver in my book. He's still getting separation. It's not like he's getting, it's going out there and getting clamped up by just anybody. Um, Last week he played against a very talented Pro Bowler field secondary, like I was talking about, and even the people on that secondary that aren't Pro Bowlers are very talented rookie there, and a good, solid safety core. So I think what's really hurting Ty right now, and I think will hurt him until about mid-season or a little bit later, is the fact that we don't have Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman. like you were saying, they people can really just hone in on him at this moment because they know they got Patman um, and Zach Pascal, who I think Zach Pascal is a talented receiver, but he's nowhere near the caliber of a T.Y. Hilton at this
Of
point.
course.
So, like you were saying, I think people are honing in on him, and I think it will kind of be like this until the midseason mark, until we get those talented second round receivers back.
Going back to you playing and being at the line of scrimmage as a lineman, and in Peyton obviously had Omaha and liked it audible. Philip Rivers, you hear a lot of talking at the line. When you're an lineman and you're setting your position and you hear your quarterback saying loads of trash words, just trying to get a hard count and all that, you just go in, hurry up and snap the damn ball because I'm getting achy, or are you just laughing into yourself? What's going through your head when all these words are getting said?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I had a quarterback in high school. Are you familiar with Tanner Morgan?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Tanner Morgan is a quarterback right now for Minnesota,
Okay,
the college. He was my high school quarterback for my freshman and sophomore year. And Tanner's very talented. Like I said, he's playing at a D1 program in Minnesota. Tanner's got a fifth round draft stock right now, too.
cool.
Um, he's super talented, but he had that kind of like go up there and just, just bark everything here, here, and here, just pointing stuff out that really didn't even matter. Like it just to mess with defenses in high school.
Yeah.
And we'd sit there for 10 extra seconds sometimes just listening to him barking into our ears just about it. And we were like, man, just come on.
Just get on with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I only asked because it was something that was pointed out when I was watching the Bears game, and they were saying the quarterback should just snap the ball and hurry up because you linemen are big lads. That's what you're there for, to protect. And it was like aching. I thought, and that's when I actually thought, you know, most oil lines have only got 3 consecutive starts together. Ours has 19. It will end obviously with Costanzo being out tomorrow. What toll does that take on the body, especially of younger athletes coming through high school and college, of being such a big brick wall and carrying all that muscle and all that weight? What toll does that have mentally and physically on you, on a player?
Uh, yeah, I can say for sure, man. I've had a lot of ice on my ankles and my knees in my life. Um, when you got them 260 plus frames, there's a lot of preparation on a weekly basis of really just making sure you're not hurting. Um, I'm sure half my liver's damaged at this point from ibuprofen intake, but I mean, it, I I'm probably at least a quarter of the sales for their company, but yeah, like you're saying, it's just it's a difficult thing really to or juggle that as a offensive lineman. I would assume in the NFL, I mean, it's probably you're probably rehabbing at least 2 days a week per week.
Yeah,
Maybe a little less for the younger guys, but for people like Whitworth, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, I'm sure they're daily having to ice, daily having to go to their trainer and get some kind of massage, something, some kind of tool to get their muscles and knees
yeah.
loosened up and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So going on and onto rubbish teams really and trash teams and tanking for Trevor Lawrence teams. The New York Jets. And Colts Law said this to me. I've had other people said this to me. We should snap Sam Darnold's hand off to come to the Indianapolis Colts. And I wouldn't say he's a bad quarterback. I'd say he's a bit of a victim of being a good college quarterback. He's been drafted to a rubbish team. He's never been given weapons or protection. If the chance arose, would you take Sam Darnold? Would you take a different quarterback? Who would you bring into the Colts realistically? Obviously, we're not going to get Lamar, etc., or Patrick. Realistically, you're sat in Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay's boots, and you say we can pick up this guy, who would you pick up?
Uh, I've been a pretty strong advocate if for taking Sam Darnold if we can.
Mhm.
I love Sam Darnold. Like you're saying, he's been drafted to this awful team, man. I mean, just terrible. Their starting receiver would be like a third string on ours. Like it's just he has no help. No tight end help. Um, they have three bright spots on their team. That's Mekhi Becton, their left tackle.
Yeah,
Quentin Williams, their defensive end, 3-4 defensive end, who plays three tech, around there. So he plays on the interior. Um, and Sam Darnold.
yeah,
And after that, it's just no one else on that roster. And I've seen all kinds of statistics like, oh, why is Sam Darnold's completion percentage not going up? This, and this. He's not learning anything in that system. He's
yeah.
not having no time. Playing these games are just useless for him at this point because he's in a system that isn't teaching him anything how to succeed at that next level. So I think if he would come and be coached under Reich and play in this Colt system where he would have time in the pocket, one of the best offensive lines in the league, one of the best receiving cores in the league when we're healthy with Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Dak Pascal, T.Y. Hill, and then Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle. I think he could flourish in the Colts organization. Um, there's a few other quarterbacks that we could land, but Sam Darnold would be like the golden goose in my opinion. He would be who I would want for a fact.
So you take Darnold. What would you give up for him? What would you trade for him?
Um, Seeing as the Jets are in a pretty terrible position, I would not give up much. I mean, to be honest with you, uh,
Ruthless.
yeah, I mean that's how you have to be. It. I mean that's how Ursay and Ballard have been, anyways. But the Jets have done a terrible job with what they've done. A second round pick would be pretty good, and maybe a third, second and third for Donald. I would do. I would be happy, but I would not give up our first round pick. I think Darnold leaves as it is.
Yeah.
Even when his contract's up, I don't think Darnold would stay there. And especially if they take Trevor Lawrence, if we know they're getting Trevor Lawrence, they're going to give Darnold up for a reduced price just to get, a couple extra picks, um, just to pick up a few offensive linemen here and there, flat out. And I think if we had to give up a second for Darnold, I would be all for it.
Talking about quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks, because there's one guy who I liked in the draft, and it was. I'm going to be honest. I only watched highlight reels because that's all we have available over here on YouTube and stuff like that. But who I did like was Jacob Eason. This was before we got traded our first round pick for DeForest Buckner. And after we did that, I was like, okay, we're not getting a quarterback high up. Look a bit further down, and we pick up this Jacob Eason character. And I watched a bit of him. I was like, this guy can sling it downfield and fast. Um, do you see this guy being the future starter quarterback for the Colts, or do you see him as a bit of a we've got him here, see what he does, maybe move him on for a bit of cash value to say?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Said the second thing you said. I think it was more of he's available in the third. He is a decent quarterback. He's quality. He could definitely be a backup in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to pick him up. We're going to have Philip Rivers. He's going to learn under Philip Rivers. If he progresses, he progresses. If he doesn't, we can use him as some sort of trade value to pick up a pick or something around the
Mm-hmm.
league. Because we do have Jacoby Brissett still, but Brissett's contract, if I'm not mistaken, is uh, pretty buku in my opinion. So I think if Brissett asked for a 15 million like he did again, we're not going to resign him. I think
Mm-hmm.
Easton would be our backup for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, if we could have Easton and Donald, hey, I'm all for it.
Talking about Jacoby, and 2 years ago when we started 1-5, and then we went on a mad run, and then yeah, also last season, Andrew Luck, 2 weeks before the season starts, I'm gone. See you later. Um, he did play good for 80% of the first time he was a starter, and then he played good up until that Pittsburgh game where he got injured, and then it sort of went downhill, and he was never the same quarterback. Was Jacoby Brissett a victim of circumstance, or is it always, especially from your point of view as a player, is it always next man up? If I don't take my chance, I'm slipping. And do you know that as a player, and does that play on your mental awareness of the game?
Yeah, I could see what you're saying there. There was a lot of pressure placed on Jacoby Brissett. Um, 2 weeks before the season, like you said, Andrew Luck retires, comes on to Jacoby Brissett to take over the reins and play well. We did start off 5-2, but according to advanced analytics, Jacoby Brissett just wasn't. He was really just benefit. He was a beneficiary, like what I think, kind of what Baker Mayfield is right now, just from a dominant run game.
Mhm.
We would just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and Brissett, the most he had to do was take a 5-10 yard pass down the field. I think Brissett was the lowest of all starting quarterbacks in um, like passing yards attempted through the pass. So like he was just throwing these 3 yard passes like consistently, game
Mhm.
in, game out. Which I'm not a big fan of. It's not. And I mean, I watched Andrew Luck throw 40 touchdowns, just gunslinging.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't hate Jacoby Brissett, and I think what he is a good backup quarterback. But if we're talking about Super Bowl aspirations or playoff runs, in my opinion, Jacoby Brissett just isn't our guy for that.
As a play, I don't know your own career, but was you starter for most of it, or was you a backup to someone? If you was a backup to someone, what is it like trying to catch that person in front of you? And if you're a starter for someone, what is it like looking over your shoulder, going, "Damn, that guy's good. I've got to get better."
Yeah. Freshman year of high school was the only year I never started in football.
Mhm.
Uh, Sophomore year, there were some pretty talented guys on our roster in high school, but other than that, you know, I know what you're saying from the, looking over my shoulder, looking over my shoulder. It just depends on what kind of player you are. There's people in the NFL like you see with the Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky situation that just full on support the other guy. They want to see them win. They want to see them win. So whenever you have people like that on your roster and you're playing with people in your position like that, it really takes that pressure off you. You don't really think about that. You're thinking, yeah, if I go down, he's going to step up. He's going to play great. It's
Mhm.
not a love hate situation with your teammate in that aspect. Um, I will say this: it was incredibly competitive at my high school team because I mean, day in day out, we would do offense versus offense. I mean, it was like every practice, every week, we would just be competing against each other. So there were some flared tempers in there. At the end of the day, but whenever we suit them pads up, we know what our goal was. It was one team to get the win. It's what it was.
Going on to a bit of fun now. You're a big lineman, so you know the ins and outs and the tricks and the tips of the game. Oklahoma drill. You've got Quentin Nelson in one corner and you've got DeForest Buckner in the other corner. Who's winning that battle? Because as Colt fans, we'd all love to see it in practice, but not against each other for real. So who've you got winning that battle?
Um, I'd have to take Quentin on this one. As much as I like Defoe, man, I just think Quentin's one of the best, if not the best lineman we have seen in the NFL in the past uh, 15, 20 years. Like Joe Thomas and Marshall Yanda come to my mind. He's like right up there with me right now. The Force Buckner, I mean, he's playing pretty well too. So it's hard to say. In all honesty, I can't really say definitively. Oh, Quentin Nelson's winning this, but I had to throw my money on it. I'm throwing Quinn.
And I don't know how much. I'm guessing you watch a lot of college football as well as NFL. And Frank Gore Jr. could be within the professional league in a couple of years. And if Frank Gore Senior decides to stay around, we could see a matchup between Frank Gore Junior and Frank Gore Senior one day, which would be amazing for the neutral fan. Are you taking Frank Gore Senior, or are you taking Frank Gore Junior in just an all in all running back battle? Like, who's winning that battle?
Uh, you know, Frank Gore. I have a lot of respect for Frank Gore, so
Yeah,
I'd have to take the senior on this one. I'll be honest with you.
yeah,
He's a journeyman running back. He never really found a team that would keep him.
mhm,
It was like every team he went to is 4 yards a carry and 1,000 yards. It was just like
yeah,
season in, season out. He came to the Colts and ran for 1,000 yards.
yeah,
Which I really never. Frank Gore was never that big play running back you see, not like AAP or something, but he got the job done. That's what it was. I'll be interested to see how Frank Gore Jr. does in the league.
yeah,
I'm hoping for the best for both of them.
yeah, good. Um, yeah, just sort of like fun conversation now as well. When I first started watching the Colts, it was because of Madden '07, I think it was. I got the demo on Xbox, it was free, and it only had two teams on it. Them teams were the Packers and the Colts. I chose the Colts just out of a random. It's been a love story ever since. But one guy on that game who made me love the Colts was Joseph Adai. I don't know what it is. I just really enjoyed playing with him. And I'm going to ask you, what made you fall in love with football, the Colts, and who was that player who you looked at and thought, damn, I wish I could do that?
Um, it was definitely Peyton Manning for me.
Yeah.
Man, I love Peyton Manning. I've wrote like 6 or 7 papers on him in my life, high school through college, about Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He's a huge inspiration just in the game, mostly because what I admire the most about him wasn't just his arm, wasn't he didn't have the greatest arm. He had a great arm, but it wasn't like Aaron Rodgers or Dan Marino, But he had every other thing technique wise down. He had probably the best footwork of any quarterback in the pocket that's ever existed. He's had definitely the best football mind to ever exist. Computer chip brain, like everything he saw, it was just
Mhm.
instant read. It was so fun watching him and just watched how he could just sit in the pocket and dissect a defense and just know exactly what is happening on every play.
Cool.
It's just a treat, man.
um, and moving on to the last couple of questions now. The first one of what's your favourite moment as a Colts fan? It doesn't have to be winning a Super Bowl or anything big. What is your personal favourite moment? And the last question, what are the Colts going to do this season?
Okay. A personal favorite moment. You say of this season or just any season?
Any season.
Okay. My personal favorite moment would have to be either the Super Bowl we won in '06 because I was I think 7 years old when I watched that. So I remember portions of it, but it's not it wasn't too big to me. But the comeback win Andrew Luck had against the Chiefs
Yeah.
in the playoffs, man, that was awesome. That was just fantastic. Um, it, what really blew me away was just we hand the ball off. Andrew Luck standing back here watching his running back get hit. The running back fumbles the ball. Andrew Luck just scoops it up and dives for the touchdown. I mean, that is one of the greatest plays I've ever seen in modern football.
Yeah. And the last question, what are the Colts going to do this season? Where are we going to go?
Um, I think we're I think we're locked for a playoff spot. I do not like how the Titans look. I think the Titans. I'm not trying to discredit them. I mean, they got Derrick Henry and they got that good left side of their offensive line, and they got a pretty good interior defensive line with Jeffrey Simmons. And then they got a good secondary whenever they're not injured. Like right now, they have Malcolm Butler and Jonathan Joseph. Malcolm Butler had 175 yards put on his head by a rookie receiver from the Vikings, and Jonathan Joseph is just 36. So they have a Dory Jackson back. Yeah, they're a pretty good team defensively with Clowney and Jeffrey Simmons, but you know, they just don't look good. Like whenever the games I've watched, their defense just isn't playing as well as they should. Their offense is doing pretty well, but Derrick Henry's kind of have a down year compared to last year at least. So I think the Colts, realistically, like you said, 11-5, 12-4. I firmly believe that's going to happen. If we, if we're healthy against the Ravens, I have a pretty good feeling about that game. Um, the only real teams I think will truly struggle with, and I say struggle as in it's going to be a good game, and that's Green Bay. I think Green Bay is Aaron Rodgers is having fun, and he's playing with his backups right now, throwing for 350. Man, that's pretty impressive.
So you heard it here first. The Colts are going to the playoffs, and we are going to tear it up, and we're going to have some fun as this wonderful team. Clip it now, because obviously nothing could go wrong after this. Uh, Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching along, and guys, go and check out High Octane Analysis. I can't say the word High Octane on Twitter, on YouTube. This guy has a brain to break down film. Just before we go, plug out Northern Summit Clothing, what I'm wearing right now. Check it out. It's urban active wear, and it's for everyone. High Octane, is there anything you want to plug before we go?
Uh, yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it. It's awesome, just to be on here and talk about sports,
Yeah.
especially the Colts. It's cool meeting you, man.
Yeah.
Cool seeing these fans from all over stuff. Yeah, I just really wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. Guys, that is all for today. See you next time when we talk more football, and especially we talk more Colts.